Is the Bison going to receive the R-77? So let's take a look on some of the unused stuff that is in the files right now that we might see in the live server or not. Who knows, right? Hello guys, once again, it's Matt. Thank you all the members and patrons. Make sure to subscribe. And we have another video. We're going to talk about some of the unused missiles. Here we have it. Thank you, Zabi, for actually posting this. He's always pretty quick and actually pretty helpful, especially for me for doing these videos, to actually know what Gaijin is planning to add or not. Together with Oshida, of course, with the data mines. I will leave both of the posts in the Reddit in the description. But yeah. Yeah, guys, there are some unused aircraft loadouts over here that are very interesting. For example, the A1s, you know, the bombs that he already has. You know, they're probably messing a little bit with that and, you know, looking on what is going to happen. But it's bombs that are already there, right? The rockets and everything. These are with different names, of course, but these are the normal bombs and rockets, NATO standard, you know. Brazil actually produces these bombs, if I'm not mistaken, but of course we have our own names for it, but it's the normal Mark 80 series and rockets as well. I think these are the Hydras, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check, but still. A9Js for the F4F. Hopefully that's not added. F16AM with the AGM-65G. That would be actually pretty interesting to see, because if you take a look in the game, let me check actually. My mouse is going. Oh no, it is already here. It's just that it is basically be able to carry 6 of them, that it's not really feasible right now. It would be cool, but apparently because of the weight of these missiles, you cannot take more than 1 each pylon, apparently in real life or something like that. Then we have some other things like sky flashes for the Grip and C. That would be funny. Lightning pod with GBUs, but then we go for just some drop tanks, some bombs, some rockets and stuff, some missiles for other things. So yeah, new unused aircraft bombs, text only of the bombs over here. Probably we're gonna receive these bombs when it's added. But if I'm not mistaken, it's pretty similar to the NATO standard bombs, right? But these are the normal Mark 80 series, if I'm not mistaken. Probably will have a little bit of a different texture or anything like that. I don't know exactly, but yeah, probably not gonna be added right now, but soon enough in the dev or in the actual, you know, live server. Some drop tanks, of course, they always add these ones, and then we go for the interesting ones. We have three missiles over here: the AIM-120C-5 and the R-77-1. These are probably for backup, in the sense of maybe if it's needed, they add it. I personally don't think the R-77-1 is needed. I think it's the normal one is already pretty good. But the Mika is a step up above the R-77. So I don't know what Gaijin will do about that. Maybe just leave it like it is to not power creep more nations. But yeah, it is interesting to see this missile here. And of course the AIM-120C-5. You know, these missiles are already in the files, in the sense that they already have their own, you know, like stats about it. I will actually show to you guys a little bit. And AGM-65K as well, which is another version of the Maverick. Apparently this AGM-65K is pretty much the same as the G variant, but with upgraded CCD internals, so it is supposed to be a little bit better, but in general should be kind of the same, okay? And then we go for the interesting one, in my opinion, over here, R-77E, guys. The R-77E would be the exported model of the R-77, would be pretty much the same for the MiG-21 Bison. So they know that this missile is used by the MiG-21 Bison, right? And in my opinion, it should actually get it. These were used in real life, in real combat, if I'm not mistaken, and even shot at F-16s in real life, right? So it is a missile that it has plenty of opportunities to be in this aircraft, basically, right? And it would make a lot of sense. Of course, it would need a new BR. I'm not saying to remain at the BR that it is right now. It's like 12.0, right? It needs to be a higher BR, 12.3 on the very least. But I still think that it should be getting the R-77 because it is one of the main reasons why that radar specifically was used in that aircraft, to be able to use that R-77, right? So hopefully they add it. And then we have some other modifications over here. Nothing too crazy, but yeah. And I already showed it in another video, but here we have the files for the AIM-120C-5 and R-77, right? I will leave this in the description as well. And it is a very interesting thing to see that the main difference between the R-77 and the Dash 1, right, would be the energy because of a new engine. Basically, that would be the main thing, right? Of course, there are some other things. Let me check. The autopilot. No, I think that's it. I think the range is supposed to be a little bit better, of course, in the stat card, obviously, because it has more energy, right? And there are some other minor things, but in general should be the same turn, same thing, just with more energy and being a little bit heavier. But with the sustainer having a more efficient delta V. So with 100 meters per second more in total delta V, which is very similar to the R-27ER, bringing the R-77-1 to have basically the same, around the same performance as an R-27ER in distance, but turning 50 G. So very scary missile if this thing is added. And then AIM-120C-5, which is very similar as well to the B and A, but of course with a different engine, being a lot more efficient as well, being a little bit heavier, but the delta V at the end of the day is better as well. Remember that the weight is, if I'm not mistaken, related to the delta V as well, but in a sense over here it is a lot more efficient. The funny part is that it doesn't have a sustainer, it just has a plain burner that is weaker. So at the end of the day, the C5, if it's added like this, it would take a little bit more time to accelerate, but not by much. Like shortly afterwards, like 2-3 seconds after this, after the launch, it would be on par or already better than the AIM-120Bs and As. So yeah, don't change too much because as you can see over here, the A's and B's, they do have a better booster at 1.7 seconds, so they will accelerate faster initially, and then afterwards they have a weaker engine than the whole burner over here. So it means that initially, very like the first 2 seconds, the AIM-120 A's and B's will have a better acceleration, meaning that they can perform a little bit better turning and stuff. They will be in the optimal condition to turn and stuff a little bit quicker. But shortly after that, the C5 will already be better, right? And I think it has less drag as well, and a better autopilot as well. So it should be overall a better missile. And by the way, I just think that this missile should be added. If you take a look, the delta V is always one of the main things about a missile. You know, you can have the most turning missile ever, but if it doesn't have delta V, it doesn't care too much. I mean, 35 Gs of any AIM-120 would already take out any target. But the thing is that if it has more delta V, it would be better. You know, it already turns very well. I mean, of course, a missile that turns 50 Gs is better, like the R-77 and Mika. But at the end of the day, 35 is plenty, right? So if it has the delta V, it can do, you know, kills very easily. The thing is that the AIM-120Bs and As, they are the worst missile right now in Fox 3 parameters for delta V. So they are the missiles that are the most inefficient missile, even compared to the PL-12, which is one of the worst missiles in the sense of weight, and the AIM-4, which is very heavy right now, and I think this will probably be changed. So yeah, this tells a lot about these AIM-120s, right? So the C5 would be more on par with delta Vs of other missiles, and it apparently would turn the same 35 Gs, according to this. So at least give the C5 for the F-15C and F-16C and some other aircraft that could receive it to make it on par with the other ones, in my opinion, at least. But anyway, yeah, guys, basically this is it. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, and bye, guys.